Hi.
Hello.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Hope everybody's having a good day. It's been busy over here, but
Yeah, I was at work every day this week except for today.
Yep. I'm pulling 6 days this week. Money, money,
Yeah, feel it.
money, money.
And I
Um,
got my tattoo touched up today.
you didn't send me a
My
picture.
my arm is so fat right now and filled with fluid.
Oh no.
Like my dressing's already coming off because of how much I'm leaking. And it's supposed to stay on for like
Oh my
4
goodness.
to 7 days. And it's already coming off.
I'm lining up a tattoo. You make me
But
want to get one. I'm gonna start researching. Get ready to be bombarded, Kirsten, by like a tattoo idea pictures type of thing.
yeah, send them all to me.
Heck yeah.
Just don't do your forearm because it's the worst pain I've ever felt.
No, I'm gonna do thigh, but I already know that's gonna suck too, so.
I even put numbing cream on this time because last time I raw
Oh
dogged
no,
it and that
baby,
was
I'm
also
going in
horrendous. I
raw.
don't even know how I made it through last time. So I tried numbing cream this time and I did notice a difference for the first like hour and a half. But they like clean it and wipe it so frequently that it just wore off.
I find that I just naturally go
And
numb.
oh, I do not. I do not, and at least not in the forearm or the hand.
When
It
I
was
got
so
my
bad. I had to at one point I had to tell her I need a break because if not, I might die in 5 minutes. It was so bad because the shading. She's just shading over the same spot over and over, and that raw
Yeah.
skin just being shaded over and over. I couldn't take it anymore. I needed a break.
I'm excited. I like that kind of pain.
I do not.
We'll see what I
It's
think
worth it in the
after.
end.
Yeah, we'll see what I think after I get a thigh tattoo done.
The side of my thigh wasn't bad, but the top of
So,
my thigh I remember being pretty painful.
oh yeah. Nope, it's gonna be the side. So for this one, and I have some muscle there, so I'm hoping that saves.
Okay, that's not so bad then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should.
So today, this was a good little loosey goosey conversation to start because I honestly picked a true crime case that is not kind of our normal. Kirsten knows nothing about it. Russell recommended it because
Nope.
he lived in Colorado and he knew of this case, like because it's a little bit older, not too old, but um, and yeah, it's not really like a sad case. It's kind of like oh shit case.
Hmm, I'm excited.
Yeah, so I today am talking about Marvin John Heemeyer, who was born October 28th, 1951, on a dairy farm in South Dakota. In 1974, he was stationed in Lowry Air Force Base in Colorado. After he was done serving, he moved to Grand Lake, Colorado in 1989. That's only about 16 miles from Granby, where this crime occurs. He had no family in this area, but his friends said he was likable, kind, and personable. He enjoyed snowmobiling with his friends, and one time an avalanche occurred and a friend became trapped, and while he was there, he took the lead in the rescue efforts to save him. So he had kind of
That's
like
horrifying.
that we right? Like I couldn't imagine.
Mm-mm.
In 1994, Colorado was deciding to legalize gambling in Grand Lake, which Heemeyer was a huge supporter of. And in 1992, Heemeyer purchased 2 acres of land for $42,000 in an auction. He intended to lease this property to a friend who wanted to build an auto repair shop on the property. This lot came with a cement truck that was buried as the sewage system, which obviously needed upgraded. He would have to pay double the cost of the property to upgrade to the proper sewage system. And city's officials did compromise with Heemeyer and suggested a simple septic tank would be a cheaper option, but he refused both options and believed that the government should pay for the sewage hookup. Of course, they aren't going to do that. So he believed that was, quote,
Right.
extortion by government fiat, end quote. So as
Okay.
as we go along here, you're going to start to realize Heemeyer's personality, okay? It's going to come out more.
Yeah. Okay.
By
He seems like someone that
1993,
hates the government.
his friends lost. Oh no, did you get that impression already? By 1993, his friends lost interest in renting the property due to multiple oil spills discovered on the land. And now, since he was stuck with the lot, he decided to build his own muffler repair shop. In 1997, the Dochev family wanted to expand their concrete business by opening a concrete plant. They decided to ask Heemeyer about purchasing his lot because his location was far enough from the main town that it wouldn't bother residents. Heemeyer originally asked for $250,000. That would be $500,000 today. And the Dochevs agreed to that amount. This is
Oh, wow.
where Heemeyer's true colors begin to slowly show, because Heemeyer came back to the Dochevs saying he got the property reappraised at $375,000 now. And again, the Dochevs agreed to pay the amount, but Heemeyer pulled the same shit, saying he got it reappraised, now asking for $450,000.
And they just believed he was reappraising 2 times in a row.
Well, this time now, for the second time, the Dochevs abandoned the idea of purchasing from Heemeyer because, they caught on at that point.
I don't blame them.
So the Dochevs decided to purchase the lot across from the repair shop. Heemeyer had actually tried to purchase this same lot first, but was unsuccessful. Then, when the Dochevs had purchased the lot across the street before building on it, Heemeyer wanted to do a land swap, which the Dochevs actually accepted that offer because his property was a smarter business move for them and their concrete business. But when they accepted that offer, he demanded they build a new structure on the lot first. So obviously they abandoned that idea again.
Mm-hmm.
I think Heemeyer was a little butthurt by this because he started a campaign against the plan to build the concrete plant. Initially, he got people of the community behind him because they were concerned about the environmental impacts of the plant, the concrete plant. And the Dochevs presented miniatures of the plant
Mm-hmm.
and also promises to build additional measures in place to help with dust and noise. He lost most of the support he had from the citizens, and the project to construct the concrete plant continued. In November 2000, Heemeyer filed a lawsuit to try and stop the construction of the plant. The community by now had caught on to Heemeyer's petty rivalry with the Dochefs. So, city clerk wrote an article in the newspaper laying out all the incidents between Heemeyer and the Dochefs and trying to bring light to all of the unreasonable demands that he kept making. By January 9th, 2001, Heemeyer lost all allies, and the city officials all voted unanimously in favor of the construction, so the project continued officially. And of course, Heemeyer couldn't help himself. He tried to appeal the decision, claiming the construction blocked the entrance to his shop, which was a lie. Also, he ended up reporting them to the Environmental Protection Agency, which forced the Dochefs to get a professional noise analysis done, which obviously cost them money.
Yeah.
June 2001, Joe Dochef offered to run a sewer line to the new concrete plant, and that would help Heemeyer out. But during that phone call, Heemeyer simply just hung up on Joe, and honestly, now he decided to go to the next level of petty. Once if you remember, he on his land, he still has the concrete sewage truck sewage tank that's in the ground. And when it filled up, he decided to take a gasoline pump and run it from his sewage tank to the irrigation ditch behind his property and pump his sewage into the ditch. He also tried to illegally connect to a neighbor's sewer line and was caught and was reported to the sanitation department. So the district began enforcing the laws more by making sure Heemeyer was up to code and that he wasn't, and of course wasn't up to code. He never was. And they fined him $2,500. That's
Yeah.
it. They gave him a year to fix the code violations, and he didn't do that. They found him in contempt of town code in November of 2001. So they shut down his business until he fixed everything and removed the cement truck. He agreed at first,
He
but
had a
then,
whole year. That's plenty of time.
right? Like, and also probably plenty of time to, if he didn't have the money, raise the money to do it.
Right.
He agreed at first, but then rejected what he agreed to, saying that the requirements were, quote, a form of terrorism, end quote.
This
People
guy's nuts.
heard him at the hearing mumbling to himself. I know, that's why I told Kirsten to pour herself a drink for this one, because we're talking about a good one today. Okay, so people heard him at the hearing mumbling to himself, quote, I'm just gonna bulldoze this whole place to the ground, end quote. April 2002, after he lost his appeal, he blamed his lawyer and demanded a refund. After all of this, he decided to travel to California and purchase a Komatsu D355A bulldozer for $16,000 or $28,000 today. He placed it in front of his business with a for sale sign, but no one was interested in purchasing it. And in October of 2002, he had to close his muffler repair shop, so he began selling all of his inventory. The bulldozer again didn't sell, and Heemeyer took this as a sign from God to use the bulldozer to take vengeance on the town of Granby.
Because no one would buy it.
Yeah. You're gonna have a really fun time with this one.
Oh
So,
man, he seems like one of those doomsday people that like has a bunker underground.
You'll see. Yep, you'll see. I mean, no, I'll say there's no bunkers, but there's like maybe a version of it, kind of. In October 2003, he sold his shop for $400,000 or $700,000 today. A waste disposal company bought it and allowed Heemeyer to lease half the shop until he finished removing his stuff. As soon as the sale was final, the company hooked up the proper sewer system and water system, and Heemeyer built a wall separating his space from the rest of the shop with a locked door. While no one could see him, he began illegally modifying the bulldozer he still owned. He also built living quarters so he didn't have to waste time going back to his home in Grand Lake, Colorado. He continued dumping his sewage in the ditch in the back of the property, and on several occasions, men visited him in the shop, and they just never noticed this illegal bulldozer being worked on in the corner. It had a 2,000-pound lift fully exposed, and Heemeyer is quoted saying, "It is interesting to observe that I was never caught. This was a part-time project over 1.5 years time period." End quote. He named his bulldozer MK Tank for Marv's Komatsu tank. He fitted the cabin, engine, and parts of the tank with makeshift composite armor plating. He also equipped the dozer with several cameras that fed the footage to 2 monitors mounted on the dashboard. The cameras were protected by 3-inch clear bulletproof shields made with bicarbonates. Air nozzles were fitted to the cameras for blowing dust off the lenses with compressed air. He had fans and air conditioning inside so he didn't break a sweat. He had 3 gun ports reinforced with 1/2-inch steel plates. He had a 50 caliber rifle, a 308 semi-automatic, and a 22 caliber rifle in the gun ports. On board with him was 3 handguns and food and water supplies for a week.
Well, it sounds like he knows what he's doing, kind of.
Sounds like a little planning, right?
Yeah, he's ready
Okay,
for
so
something big.
here we go. On June 4th, 2004, at 12:15 p.m., Heemeyer began his bulldozer vengeance by taking revenge on the Dochev's concrete plant. Cody Dochev was there working at the plant when an explosion occurred and a message over his radio said there was a bulldozer in the building. Cody and employees tried to stop the
In the
dozer by
building.
Yep.
He just crashed through a wall.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Oh
When
man.
you see pictures of this thing, it's a little tank. He literally made a little tank.
Hmm.
Cody and employees tried to stop the dozer by jamming things under the treads with no effect. Cody even fired his pistol at it and jumped on top to try and get inside. When that failed, Cody then got inside of his own front loader and tried to stop the bulldozer. Heemeyer began firing shots at the front loader when a deputy arrived at the plant. A Colorado state officer also arrived when Heemeyer began firing at the officers. Police tried to take out the cameras to no avail with the bulletproof plastic protecting them. Where the officers were firing from became Heemeyer's next target when he ran the bulldozer straight at the officers. Luckily, they jumped out of the way just before being
Oh my
crushed.
god.
Is this like a movie?
Yeah.
It's
Is there
crazy.
a movie about this?
No, no. Like I had never heard. I'm telling you, Russell just told me about it, and I was like, he didn't have all the details, so I'm gonna make him listen to this episode. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is literally a movie. It should be. Heemeyer exited the
Mhm, it should
concrete
be.
plant and headed south on Agate Avenue towards town. The dozer was traveling at 5 miles per hour when officers called in a town evacuation ahead of the dozer. A
That
sheriff.
just sounds funny. He's going 5 miles per hour. You gotta
Yep.
take him down.
Evacuate!
Going 5 miles per hour. I could have probably outrun that. Oh man.
They were, you'll see, they were running. They were running right next to it.
That's so
Oh,
funny.
here,
I mean,
see.
it's not funny, but picturing it sounds funny.
It is funny as hell, I think. Oh my god. Okay. A sheriff named
All that work
Glenn.
he put into it, he can't go faster than 5.
No, he didn't. He probably didn't fix. He should have put a better engine in it, but he didn't care.
Yeah, he should have.
A sheriff named Glenn Trainer ran and jumped on top of the dozer and rode it down the road, trying to disable it. I can't. Here, it gets better and better. Let me tell you. He threw a stun grenade in the exhaust pipe, but it did nothing to stop the dozer,
Oh,
forcing him to abandon his plan to avoid being hurt.
jeez.
Within an
Did it
hour,
not go off, or it's
I don't know. Or
a
just
grenade?
the dozer just took the blast, I guess. This
Yeah,
that's a
maybe.
stun
Man, he
grenade.
really reinforced that bitch.
Okay. um, Within an hour of this starting, Heemeyer had made his way to Granby Town Hall. The town hall was holding a story hour for children that day, but luckily everyone was evacuated before
Oh
Heemeyer
no,
arrived. His next
that's good.
target
Well, I'm
was
sure they had plenty of
Liberty
time with him only
Savings
going five
Bank.
miles per hour. Hurry, everyone! I'll be here in 20 minutes.
Let's go, children! Okay. His next target was Liberty Savings Bank. Then he continued destroying things in the street like light fixtures and street signs. The police are jogging beside the bulldozer as it headed straight towards the local newspaper office and then towards the Thompson family home. A scraper was used to try and stop the bulldozer, but it was tossed aside like nothing. I'm laughing at my own writing.
You know what this kind of reminds me of?
What?
In the Santa Claus, when he's at work and they're like coming up with ideas for Santa, and they talk about the tanker, and he's like, "Oh, watch out, kids! Santa just took out the Pearson home." That's what this reminds me of.
I'm dying. This is great. I'm
We needed a
crying.
funny episode after all the morbid
Yeah,
stuff we've talked about.
I thought this was a great one. So, and by the
Yeah, it
way,
is.
in honor of Colorado, I may have elevated myself before this. So, you know, all right. A scraper was used to try and stop the bulldozer, but it was tossed aside like nothing. The bulldozer and Heemeyer continued to a propane storage yard where some of these tanks held 30,000 gallons of propane. Heemeyer
Wow.
fired 15 shots towards the tanks and also the transformers that were there, which any of these would explode with a spark. Luckily, he only hit his target once.
Thank goodness.
Because there were about 12 police officers that were around him, so if he would have hit, it would have been bad. The explosion. And there
Yeah.
also was a nursing home full of residents that could have possibly been hurt as well. So luckily
Oh, geez.
he sucks at shooting. So at this point at this point police have fired over 200 rounds at the dozer with no effect. Police were running out of
Wow.
options as Heemeyer approached his next target, a store called Gamblers. He targeted this store because the owners were involved in the hearing about the concrete plant. When the bulldozer
Mm.
plowed into the building, the scraper was placed behind it, blocking his path out. Since he couldn't back out, he continued through the building when he got his tread stuck in the basement and couldn't get it out of the hole. The radiator and the engine did sustain damage at this point, and the dozer stopped working. Only a moment later, trigger warning for suicide. A moment later, at 4:30 p.m., a SWAT team member that approached the bulldozer heard a single gunshot. It appeared Heemeyer had shot himself in the head with his 357. After
Oh,
trying
wow.
three
I wasn't
different
expecting
times,
to end like that.
yeah, he wasn't going down. After trying 3 different times to blow open the hatch, they had to use a cutting torch to get inside. His body was finally
Jeez.
removed the next day at 2 a.m., over 12 hours after this had started.
Mm.
Heemeyer's rampage lasted 2 hours and 7 minutes. He damaged 13 buildings, knocked out power and natural gas, destroyed a truck, and most damage was to the concrete plant. The total estimate for the damage was $7 million. His rampage targeted
Wow.
a lot of businesses owned by people who were part of the hearing Heemeyer called for over the concrete plant. Of course, Heemeyer had both supporters and people who believed it was pure luck that Heemeyer was the only casualty that day.
Yeah, I'd
The
say.
town, yeah, the town decided to scrap the bulldozer on April 19th, 2005. When police investigated Heemeyer's home, they found the bulldozer plans on his computer and a list of 107 people that he wanted revenge on. This, of
Wow.
course, included the Docha family, companies, judges, politicians, newspapers, newspaper editors, and even the Catholic Church.
Jeez.
Heemeyer, yep, he was Christian, but not them Catholics.
Mm. He knows how to hold a grudge.
Heemeyer also recorded 2.5 hours of tape of his reasonings. He felt how he did and how he did and the wrongdoings that people did to him. He recorded all his little rants and raves of him bad mouthing people and what they did to him, explaining and he also was scribbling notes of his little tangents all over his place.
Mm.
He would go off on he would go off on what was I high when I wrote this? He would go off about all the wrong things people did to him, and some quotes from Heemeyer's recordings include quote now these are all quotes, so separately.
Okay.
Quote, God built me for this job. End quote. Quote, I think God will bless me to get the machine done, to drive it, and to do the stuff that I have to do. End quote. Quote, God blessed me in advance for this task that I am about to undertake. It is my duty. God has asked me to do this. It is a cross that I am going to carry, and I'm carrying it in God's name. End quote. His first recording was made on April 13th, 2004, and the last recording was May 22nd, 13 days before he took his revenge on Granby, Colorado.
Wonder if he had like a touch of schizophrenia or something, thinking God's talking to him.
Yeah, I don't know.
'Cause it sounds like he's having some sort of religious delusions.
I mean, that's what I thought. Sorry, I'm trying to get you back up on my. Oh no, what did I do? No, bring my thing back. There we go. Okay, sorry. Yes, I think he definitely had some undiagnosed something that,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
And for him to like react the way he did to such small things and like think people are out to get him or whatever. Like, how dare
Yes.
these
Yeah.
people treat me this way?
Yes. Yeah. So it's an unfortunate thing. Thankfully, nobody else was hurt, and he was. I thought it was
Yeah.
just a nice little reprieve from the necessary but also sad uh, attention we try to bring to all of our missing people and victims. So I thought this would be a good little palate
Yeah.
cleanser,
A little
if you
palate
will.
cleanser.
Ah, what? Yeah.
We have the
See?
same brain.
I know. This is why we podcast.
Yeah. This is why we're best friends.
That's right. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope we gave you a good laugh. And we also hope you make like a
Yeah.
shadow and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and what's the other one?
YouTube.
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 Jeez.
At Lurking in the Shadows podcast.
TikTok.
Lurking in the Shadows pod.
And if you have any questions, concerns, comments, or case suggestions, send us a Gmail.
Yeah, and if you know any other cases that are kind of like this vibe that you know about and you want us to share, send those in too at Lurking in the Shadows podcast at gmail.com. And keep lurking around for our next episode. Bye.
Bye. One day we'll get the outro, right?
Yeah, one day.